Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is Crafting and Crime Daily. I'm your host, Rebecca, and I recap live trials. Currently covering the trial of Zachary Young for, he is suing CNN, the news outlet, for defamation. Now, instead of this being a criminal trial where somebody's going to go to jail, this is a trial where the defense, CNN, is being asked to pay a lot of money. The jury is going to be asked to award Zachary Young with a very large sum of money to include past and future wages that he has lost and punitive damages to punish this news outlet for allegedly running an inaccurate story about Zachary Young. So we are into day 2. Zachary Young is still on the stand. Yeah. Still under direct examination by his attorney. Yesterday we learned all about who he is, what he does. Today we're going to learn about what actually happened in the lead up to this story being run on CNN. So stay tuned. Hey, good morning. Welcome back. It's probably not morning when you're listening to this. Oh my God, we had another 6 inches of snow yesterday. I have not gone anywhere in over a week. I got to go to the post office, can't get there. I'm one of my doors is even frozen shut. Somebody said run a hairdryer on it. I haven't. I've been letting the dog out the front door because nobody's out there. No garbage pickup. No, we had some groceries delivered. Thank goodness, Walmart. Thank you. Appreciate that. So let's get to the story. You don't want to listen to some old lady yapping about her groceries in the snow because I'm a retired Floridian. So let's talk about Zachary Young some more. So Zachary, obviously, he's real bent about this. He's very bent, and he thinks, and he he lets things slip out every now and then on the stand. And one of the things that slipped out yesterday was, I've been this Alex Marquardt. When you see the news story that airs, there's a news reporter, the anchor that's sitting there introducing the story, but the story is actually authored by the architect of the story. To put it in Zachary Young's own words, the architect of the story is Alex Marquardt. And apparently he's, according to, talk about a word that has negative connotations, he said, Alex Marquardt kept trolling me. And so when he said that, of course, there was an objection, and the jury was asked to disregard the fact that Alex Marquardt was trolling him. Now, we know what trolling means. Somebody that's there to just create upheaval and is a constant pest when we're doing lives, those kind of things. So he is contacted by Alex Marquardt, and one of those contacts I want to share with you. This kind of gets this whole ball rolling. So let's walk through the messages that are between this Alex Marquardt, the CNN reporter, and where'd they go? Oh, they are. And Zachary Young. Now, these are through his LinkedIn, I believe. This is their CNN is trolling him through LinkedIn. So the first, here we go. Let's start the story. So he says, Zachary, I'm contacting you from Afghanistan. I was a former employee of, and it's redacted, in Kandahar, Afghanistan. And then he mentions the name of the project, but that's redacted. I have worked with blank, 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 probably CNN, since 2017 till 2021 on U.S. contract number, blah, blah, blah. Oh, maybe it's not CNN. I don't know what he's saying. I was in blank in Kandahar, and now I and my family are in grave danger because we face deadly threats from the Taliban as they have control of Afghanistan, and they are looking for people who worked with the U.S. forces of the Afghan government. And as I was an employee of the U.S. company, and my dad was chief of command of the NDS forces, and from the first day of the Taliban in Kandahar, they came to our home looking for me and my dad, but we were not home that day. But they kept coming every day until one day our house was locked. We were at my aunt's house. The Taliban broke into our home and broke the front door. In our house, there was a car, a 2005 Toyota Fielder. They took it away and took several things from our house. Oh, where'd it go? And then we were asked to leave our house, which we did because we didn't have any other way. So we came to Kabul like a month ago and are still, and are still hiding here, fearful for our lives. I also will attach my HR letter, my badge, and I also have videos and pictures of our house when they broke into our house, and I will also send them to you if you want. Now, if you think this this is not the reporter. I mean, this is the reporter writing all this as if he's someone else. And so immediately, Zach's response is, do you have a sponsor able to pay for evacuation costs? Because Zach's maintaining, listen, I have a business here. He doesn't deal with private people. He deals with people that have sponsors that are going to pay to evacuate them because he knows that the Afghan people can afford this, individually. But if they have a sponsor, he's willing to work with them. So that's his first response. Hey, you got a sponsor? Now, Zach says, listen, I recognize that this was not the real deal here, that they were not really inquiring, that they didn't have a sponsor, and he was just kind of discreetly trying to bow out of this communication. So the way he says it, he's trying to discreetly disengage from this person. And so he actually ended up blocking him because he said even if he could pay, he only works for corporations. He says, I don't get hired by the individuals themselves. I work for the corporations. Now, he was asked by his defense attorney, could you, you said that you could get the refugee status in Albania. And he goes, yeah, I could. And he said, well, how would you do that? He goes, I don't know, because no one ever requested that I do it. He goes, I'm not going to research and do all the research and figure out how I'm going to do something if no one's requesting that I do this. He says, but then his attorney says, well, how do you know that you can do it? He says, because it's being done, which was, of course, was objected to. So, but this is all stuff that the jury is hearing. So then he was next contacted by an activist, political activist named Jill Konetsky. He contacted Jill Konetsky because he thought she was working with NGOs, corporations, and maybe needed assistance with evacuations. Now, I'm not clear on who contacted who first, to be honest with you. But we're going to go through the communication between him and this Jill Konetsky, also through LinkedIn. So I do want to tell you that this next exchange gets pretty heated. So we'll just stick it out. Okay. It's lengthy, and it gets pretty heated. So he says, hi, Jill. Nice to meet you. I'm a former agency. And he says something. He can't say that he was with the CIA. With strong connections to Afghan. Let me know if you know anyone who needs assistance with overland evacuations into Peshawar. For many, it's a better option than the airport, especially if they are truly in harm's way. I don't know if there was a response to her or not. Then he says, "Hi, Jill, just checking in. We've been having success all month running groups into Pakistan. Let me know if I can help." She responds, "You aren't the guy charging 12,500, are you?" He says, "Depends on the scenario. We can also arrange air evac to Abu Dhabi and Albania. It's not free, though. We don't have a nonprofit standing behind us, fleecing millions in donations to charter aircraft from friends. It's a service and it costs money." She says, "It costs money, but not 12,500. Those aren't break-even numbers. Good to know, though." And his comment to this was, to the jury is, "I'm not trying to break even. I am running a business. It's an international business that does corporate evacuations. This is my business. I'm not a nonprofit. My objective is not to break even." So then he goes on to say, "If you have reliable options at lower costs, for sure, you should take them." Then he says, "In any case, I know the scams these others are running with their non-profits," and he puts that in quotes. "And if you have half a brain, you probably do as well. So spare me the judgment." She says, "LOL, I don't think I will spare you the judgment. Sure, there are scams. There are also mercenaries, and there are others helping without holding a dime for themselves. For 12,500, there could be a legal support for obtaining a visa and assistance figuring out a final destination. Dumping people in Islamabad to figure out themselves for that rate is I don't know what she said after that. You do you. I'm sure you've already justified your cut to yourself, so nothing I say will change that." Whoa. Anyway. So he says to her, "Our costs include legal status on arrival to you in UAE or Albania. Charter alone is over 1 million. Anyway, keep up the good work and I will do the same." Now, to the jury, he said, at this point, this is somebody he wants to disengage from. It's clear she's just fishing for information. She's an advocate and in his words, a troll. So here, but he continues. He doesn't block her right away. He does block her. So she says, 1 million divided by 250 equals 4,000. So I don't know what that means. I don't get these numbers. 12 million, I guess 12 million times 250 is 3 million. 3 minus 1 equals 2 million. Yeah, I'm not getting that. So, I guess because his cost to get the same, I guess what she's saying is that for $1 million, you could get 250 people out, and that would be 4,000 a piece. And that's what these nonprofits apparently were claiming, that they could, airlift people out. Now, these planes, you got 30,000 people that want to get out, and you're going to try to figure out which 250 you're going to put on that plane. And he said what would happen is these nonprofits would pay, the $1 million to get a plane. The plane would come out there, and they would hire a plane from a company that's making money. They're providing the plane. And whether the plane lands or not, they've got to pay that $1 million. And a lot of times the planes wouldn't even be allowed to land, much less pick up 250 people and then take off again. So now what she's saying is he's charging 12 million. If you charge that times 250 people, that's $3 million. So he's making $2 million in profit. I guess that's what she's saying, surmising. Sounds like a retirement plan, more like a retirement plan than a mission of mercy. I don't think he ever said he was doing missions of mercy. he's running a corporate business. He says, I'm not chartering the aircraft directly and am being offered small scale capacity for the small groups at 5 to 6 people, passengers at a time. I bring forward. In any case, fuck off. He's really irritated with this woman at this point, but he's still engaging with her. She says, no, you described it as I described it. The onward movement is not your responsibility or your logistics or expenses. So you're dumping people in Pakistan with a visa. And as you stated, the rest is on them. The sponsors got them to the final destination, not you. And as you messaged, you don't require them to show you they will or can. And he says, okay. Even if you double the cost of the charter with other expenses, you are still pocketing about $1 million for every 250, and that expense isn't even the final cost for the trio. There is nothing wrong with making a living, but you evidently are planning for a life on a private island or something. Oops. He says, we don't accept a requirement unless the sponsor demonstrates they have onward travel arranged. Every U.S. company we've worked for has been thrilled with our capabilities. In any case, I don't have to defend our model to some spiteful bitch on LinkedIn, waste someone else's time. I hope this is the point he blocked her. And I believe it is. Yeah. So that's the end of that communication. So here's what happens next. He also gets messaged by this another person named David Lerman, who ends up being another activist, and it's a very similar conversation that he has with him, and he reiterates that I only do these corporate evacuations, and it ends up the same way where he's blocking the guy. So he then gets a message from a friend of his named Eduardo, who works over at Bloomberg, who he has been doing corporate evacuations for. And this guy, Eduardo, tells him, listen, I hear that CNN is trying to get a hold of you. So he contacts this woman from CNN named Marie, or I'm sorry, her name is Katie Bowe Lillis. Katie Bowe, Lills. Katie Bowe Lillis. And she tells him, now, the reason he contacts them, I told you, is because he thinks they want him to do corporate evacuations. It's another news agency. She tells him, I'm working on a story, and that's how I heard about you. So they have an exchange back and forth, and she keeps trying to get him on the phone, and he doesn't want to get on the phone. He's like, no, and they talk about, he says, I only do this for corporations that can pay. I'm happy to help you out with a story, but I don't want to be named in this story. I do not want my name to appear in this story. And he was very clear about that. I do not want my name to appear in this story. So one day before the story runs, he is contacted by none other than Alec Marquardt, who, again, this is who he believes is the architect of the article that actually, the news article that runs on CNN. So the day before this, Alex Marquardt sends him an email or text. And this is what he says. And this is Wednesday, November 10th, one day before the story airs. And it arrives in with Zachary Young about 8:30 in the evening. And he doesn't see it. He says, I don't do my, I don't even look at my phone after a certain hour. I'm relaxing. I'm, going to bed. I'm not looking at this. So here's what he says. Hey, Zachary, are you there? This is Alex Marquardt from CNN. I know you've been speaking with a colleague of mine. He's referring to Katie Bowe Lillis. I tried calling you last week, but you did not pick up. Now, Zachary Young denies this adamantly, vehemently. He did not try to call me. And this is communication through an app that's called, oh God, what is it? Anyway, it's through an app, and it would show if he had called, and there's nothing showing that this reporter tried to call him. So we're going to run a piece in which we detail your interactions with people inquiring about your services and the prices to evacuate people from Afghanistan. I wanted to give you a chance to explain why they are so high. So he responds, and he doesn't respond until the next day. You see on the top there, Thursday, November 11th. So this is, when he sees the message the next day. Hi, Alexander. Please provide a list of questions as well as the facts and assertions about me you intend to publish. I will need some time to review and provide comment. Now, with this, he meant, check with a lawyer, which he, given him the amount of, he said, I would have needed time. I would have consulted with my lawyer. I would have had to consult with some other contacts that he had. He is told, thank you for responding. This piece is running this afternoon, DC time, Washington, East Coast time. That's why I reached out yesterday. I'll send you my cues, my questions, and deadline as soon as possible. So this is his next. And Zachary says, listen, that's not a realistic deadline. I will need a few days to review and provide comment. Not a few hours. Because at this point, this communication is 1 hour and 54 minutes before the story runs. He's given him to answer the questions and to provide comment. He says, I'm sorry I tried to reach out last week on LinkedIn. You did not accept my request. I called you last week and I texted you yesterday. All to no avail. I will let you know what the deadline is. Interesting. Then here's some of the questions. Are you making money? This one goes back here. You provided some answers to my questions. I might be missing the slide. Are you making money off this? If so, how do you justify profiting from Afghans desperate to get out? Then he says that they're going to be showing his conversations between those two activists. Remember Jill and David Lerman, Jill Karnetsky and David Lerman, who he had these interesting exchanges with. He thought they were just activists. Well, these activists went to CNN apparently, and they've showed them their conversation. So he's asking him to comment on that conversation. He says, I need your answers at the latest by 2 p.m. Eastern time. So in 2 hours. So basically an hour and 54 minutes. He wanted those answers. Here's some of the questions. Can you please break down the extremely high prices for evacuations you're asking? I've seen your conversations with others charging $75,000 for a car to Peshawar, $14,500 for a flight to UAE, another $4,000 to get to Albania. Others involved in evacuations I have said your prices are too high. So what he's doing is quoting out of the conversations he had with these other people that he was trying to disengage with. And Zachary says that's definitely not a realistic timeline. In any case, I can tell you for sure some of your facts. Assertions for not accurate. And if they are published, I will seek legal damages. Yeah. So that is how all of this came about. So then the piece runs, and then he says as a result of that, and they walk him through, his attorney walks him through the news article, and he says what what his beefs are. They're asserting that he is charging exorbitant prices, not he specifically, but and the reporters never actually say it during their piece, except that the entire time they're talking and showing his face and talking about his communications, there's a banner running that's saying, part of a black market, exorbitant prices, preying on Afghans. So if I saw the article, I'd be thinking they were talking about him. And he goes on to explain, I never met those two people that were interviewed as part of this story, those Afghanistan people. Never met them. They never contacted me and asked me for evacuations. The people that contacted him were those two U.S. citizens, two U.S. citizens that were political activists. And he kind of basically told them to, F off. So he said as a result, he just, over the weeks after that, he went into a complete state of panic. He had a breakdown because it was just devastating to him that, they were insinuating that he was part of this black market. And then, of course, they had to show the jury a dictionary definition of black market, so I think we should too, right? Let's look up black market. Let's look it up. Black market. Hold on, let me find it. Definition of black market. Because he said, hey, I Googled it. So let's Google it. Let's, okay. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to look up black market. Share screen. Here we go. It says, a black market is a market that exists outside of government-sanctioned channels. So I don't see a problem with it there. Black markets trade in illegal goods and services. Legal goods and services to avoid taxes or, Here it says Wikipedia, black market, underground economy, shadow market or shadow economy is a clandestine market or a series of transactions that has some aspect of illegality or is not compliant with an institutional standard. So it hasn't, he said, I'm not doing anything illegal. So there you have it. Then they showed that the article was later republished on a couple of other news shows on CNN, one that was broadcast in the UK. And now he's got a ton of contacts over in the UK that are seeing this, and now he's really upset. So the rest of the testimony he's going to give, he's still not done, is going to be regarding his damages. And then we will get into the cross-examination in the next episode. I know this is lengthy. It's probably going to be a lengthy trial, unless they're just relying solely on his testimony. But nonetheless, super, super interesting. And today's Friday. I probably will do episodes over the weekend so I can get you guys caught up, because they're actually on day 3 of the trial. So have a wonderful weekend, everybody. I hope to see you in the next episode of Crafting and Crime Daily. Take care.